Hi, my name is Mark from jazzguitarlessons.net, and you're listening to a podcast which is 7 Reasons to Go to Jam Sessions. Welcome to Jazz Guitar Lessons, where we help guitarists learn jazz faster, express themselves more fluently, and have fun along the way. My name is Mark, and if you're looking to learn jazz, form better practice habits, and especially if you enjoy a French accent, make sure to subscribe. Let's get going talking about jam sessions. Jam sessions are generally great for learning. They're an amazing learning experience, anyways, in my own perspective they are. You get a little bit of tough love here and there. And of course, I'm not talking about open mics, nights when you can bring your acoustic guitar and sing a song with friends. The jam sessions we're talking about here are really jazz jam sessions where you walk in, call a standard, and people will most likely know the tune. So let's get going. I think there's conflicting advice and ideas about jam sessions in general. What I've seen online is like people think, well, at least one website I saw was interesting, said a jam session is like a play. It's like theater where there's always the same characters over and over. There's this guy that is the character of the teacher that would walk to a beginner and just close his fake book and just point to his ears, and there's this other guy that is an asshole to everybody, and there's the beginner that's too kind, and there's all sorts of characters. There's a drunk also, I guess. But I think this is only perspective, and I believe you should go anyway. So let's go and hammer out what are the 7 reasons you should go to a jam sessions, along with your daily dose of jazz guitar rambling by yours truly. First reason to go out of the 7, I think it's obviously to get to meet new people. If you're new in town or if you're not around jazz a lot, you gain fresh perspectives, and you get to meet the people you would never meet otherwise. And say, oh, I didn't know that guy played guitar or trumpet. And then you can really hear the people play for what they are. Jam sessions, you go there, you're totally naked, there's no safety net, fall flat on your face. So it's a great way to meet people in a very natural environment, so to say. Second reason to go to a jam session is you get to hear different versions of the song. I think it's great because locally here, people might play a standard in a different key or in a different way than another city. So you get to hear different versions and maybe be inspired by what you heard at jams. Or say you come back next week, you'll be prepared to play My Funny Valentine in G minor or play Alone Together in G minor, which is something that I've never personally done, but that could happen anytime. The third reason to go to jam session, I think, is to hear guest stars, quote unquote, sometimes. So I'll give you a good anecdote. I was jamming in Montreal at Grumpy's, and it was someone's band that was in town. One of the crooners, of course, not Sinatra, but one of the great jazz, quote unquote, singers was in town. His band was there, and his band was looking to hang out and drink. So you hear this guy walk on stage, never heard of him, he's from New York, start playing trumpet, like, oh shit, this guy's the best musician in the room. And this can happen at any time if you are out at a jam session, and it's not likely to happen if you're in your living room, so take note of that. Fourth reason, which is the one I'll go in more detail here, fourth reason to go to a jam session is get your ass kicked. Big time, big time. And I'll take a moment to expand about my own experiences with the first few jam sessions I've been to. So portray this, 2003 or 4 probably. I had already played trio gigs on my own. I was still learning. It's not that long ago, but I've been in the game enough to know, I kind of comp and I kind of solo on standards, and I know my way around tunes when people play in a jazz style. But at that point, I was still a beginner. I was young and foolish, and I knew standards, and I was practicing my butt off every day. And I showed up to a jam session, and I got my ass kicked. Not for the reason that I sucked or anything, but there's this guy that played saxophone, and it was my first actual jam, and it was a student jam. And I walk on stage, and I'm kind of happy, nervously happy to be playing with other people that are outside of my circle of friends. It was really like a public jam session. And I called All the Things You Are, which is a great song that I think we should all continue to play forever. But the guy, the saxophone player, which we became friends after, by the way, we played tons of gigs, he said, let's get it over with. Let's get it over with. So I was so nervous that I played very badly because I felt the pressure that this guy didn't like the tune, but he was the band leader, and he was politely admitting me on his bandstand, and I felt like we have an expression, an idiom in French that says you want to go back in between the cracks on the floor. I really wanted to. I felt small in my shoes. So that was the first really public one, and I was frustrated going back home to be treated in such a way. So I built some sort of a shell, which I think is good to some extent. And then a second jam session that I remember clearly after having been to different public ones, I decided to go to one that was more serious, that was more people that had graduated from university, even teachers. And there's a sax player that shows up. He's in the house band and he blows on Juju by Wayne Shorter for like 15 minutes in a row. And I was very intimidated. So when they opened the jam, I kind of shyly raised my hand and I kind of walked in, tuned my guitar, and I showed him my tune list. And of course, the reaction of any band leader is always, "Hey, kid, what do you want to play?" And you say your first song and you're not half finished saying the title and say, "No, I don't want to play that one." So he played that game with me and I was kind of intimidated. And then we played and I realized not only I was intimidated and I couldn't play at this level, but also that didn't have the tools and the skills required to comp behind that guy. He was soloing and I had no idea what to do. So I got my ass kicked. Overall, it's humbling, especially when you know what to look for in your humility. If you know you don't have a shell that's too thick and you know that, okay, let's just admit that honestly, I need to work on this. So that was my fourth advice, which is go to jam sessions because you're going to get your ass kicked. On the three last ones, fifth reason I think you should go to a jam session is to get advice from more advanced player if they are willing to share it. So you meet this guy, you think he's great. It's not unanimous. Like you may like one player more than another one. And if these people are willing to share their secrets, like, well, you're getting a little closer to sounding like them. So I think it's just a great way to go out. Great means to make friends and to hear fresh perspectives, especially if you like the players. That's how I met a lot of players I know today. And the sixth reason is to get a new perspective on things. So say you came out to a jam session, I was there, and we were two having the traditional, we're having a smoke outside or something, and we start talking about pentatonics. And you get to hear my perspective, and it's just assumed for now that we're exactly at the same level of musicianship. So I can brag or talk or whatever about my pentatonic ideas and how we should approach pentatonics and how you can use pentatonics in your soloing or comping or this or fingerings. And it's cool because you don't have to agree with me. You just get to hear that new fresh perspective, and I think it's worth your while to have these interactions and conversation in your life. And the seventh reason to go to a jam session is grabbing a drink, of course. So that has been the 7 reasons to go to jam sessions. Now, of course, if you've never been, there's etiquette, as we say in French. There's a standard way of proceeding that you need to respect the other people. As always, respect, respect, respect. There's a page on jazzguitarlessons.net that you want to look up. It's probably jazzguitarlessons.net/jam-sessions.html, something like that. Look it up. Quickly, just if you've never been, just play 1 or 2 tunes. Don't play like 10 tunes. Say thanks to everybody. Don't comp all the time. Take short solos. Don't play loud. And don't just jump in with your guitar. Wait to be invited on stage. I'll let you look at the page. So that's it for podcast 29, 7 reasons to go to jam sessions. My name is Mark from jazzguitarlessons.net. Improve your jazz guitar playing with a real teacher, and I'll see you in the next podcast. Take care.